Welcome to another stream here at Lightingbot. We have another guest for today named Quentin. He will introduce himself in a minute. Just a reminder, Lightingbot is a channel and also a community for people who are looking to improve their skills in lighting. It can be a 3D artist, it can be a level designer, it doesn't really matter. So we have the Discord link at the bottom at the description, and you have the opportunity to join us in our community as well. So let us please welcome Quentin into the talk and find out what he's all about.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me first. It's very nice.
No problem. I'm happy to have you here. So Quentin, let's just briefly get to know you a little bit before the question starts piping in. And as a reminder for everyone watching, because we already have people watching, you can start asking questions immediately if you want to, and I will pick them up and read them up for Quentin to know. So just so you guys know. So Quentin, you obviously started as a lighting artist, and you have been a lighting artist for a couple of years actually. Can we not start talking a little bit about how your journey started? Because you have an insane amount of short-term internship in the beginning as a 2D, 3D artist, and you worked yourself way up to a web designer, then 3D artist, then junior 3D artist, then and so on and so forth. So explain this choice and process and what led you to choose lighting artist in that.
So starting from the beginning. So I did some basically a 3D animation school called Papleux in French, in the north of France. So it was really at the time specialized in animations like 3D compositings and things like this. And my things was really like compositing and lighting, so in offline render. So it was not real time at all, just really compositing stuff in Nuke and stuff like this. And so basically during my years, so I was really getting interest a lot in really compositing and really giving like the final shot and just cleaning everything, just making like everything pretty most as possible. And during the end of my second year, I met some people outside from some forum on internet, which will be later my next business partners about a company called Enigami. So basically during my third year, we started to create a company called Enigami, which will be like a video games studio in charge of the indie RPG called Shyness. And basically it's how it's starting. It's basically I start in first place to do mainly character modeling, 3D modeling, everything like environment art base. I was not at the time, I was doing it a bit off level, but it's just like I was really in charge of making the base stuff, like really the 3D elements. Then after 1 year, I basically moved to just all the full production of the level. So basically I was in charge of building all the world basically in all our projects. So basically all the environment parts and also all the technical part of it, all the shaders, all the VFX, well, most of the VFX, environment VFX, and same for lighting. So yeah, and it was like basically a 6 years journey with them. So basically, yeah, we started like 5 people at the start, and we grow until 20 people. And it was really interesting stuff. So in general, people just start by, they leave school, they find a job, and in general it's like in a big company or something. I mean, from what I saw, it's pretty hard to have someone just starting to create something. It's like, because it's difficult, and we learned that it was difficult at some point. It's like, but it's at the same time, it's like, even if you build a company with juniors peoples and stuff, even if we got some seniors, hopefully, like our tech director was a senior guys, the CEO at the time was experimented in programming and stuff, but it's just like still managing and stuff you learn on the with the time. you do mistakes, and then you grow. You get other business partners, publishers, to help you to finish your games, and it's
Okay.
really interesting stuff. So after that, after 6 years, I really wanted to go abroad and get a different experience. So I had the choice at the time between the Canada and the UK. I got a first answer really fast, like 2 weeks after I start to seek for a new job. Basically, I moved in 1 month to England. At the time, it was still no borders, no need visa, so it was like really easy to move. And so I joined Sumo Digital as a lighting artist, and so I was surprised at the time that I was the first in Sumo Sheffield. So basically, it's like all the projects were basically using environment artists for lightings or sometimes external help. So I help most of the project to basically set up or helping with bugs or just giving advice about what will be the approach for the project depending on the different styles. And I joined basically, I moved to Sackboy. Basically, it was my main project during all these years, even if I help on different projects. And yeah, so it had been like a bit more 3 years and a half. And then after, I wanted to try something different than the UK. Basically, it's like, yeah, wanted to see the world basically. And
Okay.
so I moved to here to Binox in Canada from Activision.
So, um, let's talk a little bit about your choice to start a new company because that's interesting. Because I did the same after graduating anyway. What was your reason to start a new company with your
Oh,
friends, or join or a startup company? What was your motivation for that?
so yeah, so basically the story behind. So it was basically the start. It was on forums. We were multiple people. Some people were seeking basically the founder, the main partner, CEO, Azem Awash was looking for. They were looking for artists to help on a basically amateur indie project. So at the time, it was really something they were interesting to create something professional, but it was just a rough project. Basically, at the start, it was mainly to get fun and making a demo to present on some different conventions. So basically, the first year and even the years after, we did a lot of French conventions presenting the game. We have been even to different countries like Germany to present the games. And basically, we met different people and even the president of CyberConnect, which were working on Naruto. So when they see like a manga anime style game, they were saying, "Oh, interesting! What they are doing?" Like a few people saying, and so it got a really big push of motivation, and it pushed us to basically make a professional structure around this project and really push the game like we want to release this game. And so it's how it started. Basically, we did a Kickstarter. We raised something like $120,000. Obviously, it was not enough to finish such project. Video games are very expensive, but it was enough to basically do a vertical slice at the time. And with that, we have been checking and seeing different publisher, and we finished to have a deal with Focus Some Interactive in France. And basically, they given to us enough funds basically to publish it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the base thing with Enigami, I will say.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit now, move forward to your current job and your current definition and role as a lighting artist. If someone doesn't know what your job is and pretend that I know nothing about it, how would you explain your role?
So to someone who doesn't know anything about video games, I like to use some specific image. I say, everyone know what is drawing. And I say, imagine I'm getting a drawing, just pure lanes, and me, I'm putting the color inside it. and it's just, and depending if I want a realistic drawing, if I want a cartoon or things, it's like I'm going to put the colors differently. It's like it can be a splash, or it can be really nice, smooth gradients. Like if I want to, and basically in general, when I give this idea, or even when I say, oh, look outside, it's the night. Well, imagine we take off all the light and all the mood or all the weather effect or whatever. It's like basically it's like dressing, yeah, dressing the light. And in general, even when you say to people, yeah, imagine when you are at a theater or like a concert, imagine you turn off all the light and all the cinematography and all the that's it. And in general, it's like they understand it.
Okay. And if you were to describe your everyday work right now at the current studio, how would you describe it?
To describe what? Sorry.
Your work, right? Your routines on a everyday basis or weekly basis. How would you describe your general day? What do you have to do?
So yeah, depending the company, it was really different. It's why also what I like is like in any game, it was like I had, I mean, to be transparent, I had too much work in, because we were like a low number of employees and I was managing way too much things. Basically, everything which was graphic integrations was on my side. So I was building the world, lighting, doing the collisions, and on something which is a half open world. So it was like really huge work. It's why it took also like 4 years to make the final project. And yeah, so it was really like 10 hours, days, 12, like during like 6 years. It was like endless work. But at the same time, because it's your baby, it's like you don't take it in the same way than working on something you are maybe yet to be disconnect. So it's like you have you want to finish it. It's like it's your personal stuff. It was a work of all the team, but it's like you put so much energy you don't want to release something bad.
So when you're doing your own personal projects normally, and do you mostly use Unreal Engine 4 or 5 or both?
So currently I'm doing my first personal project on Unreal 5. Yeah, it's like so basically it's like what I like to do currently is like exploring my favorite games and doing some type of how to say it, representation of what I would like to be, or just like even just telling a little story behind it. So basically, it's like I'm running through my different games, and the next one is a Zelda, and I'm currently working on a. I try to push really like a realistic version of one scene of a Zelda game, which is A Link to the Past.
Okay, so
Uh,
you have done two other projects before, right? Or at least
yeah,
lighting projects, Diablo and Bioshock type of fan work, isn't that correct?
yeah. I did it just before leaving Sumo. Basically, it was just because it's like in general I'm so focused on work that I don't have much time, and when I have some time for me, it's like I try to be outside basically, which are my other passions, just moving, discovering stuff. And when I'm doing a personal project, generally it's like for the work, professional work, it's like I'm going to focus, but like Italy during, it's like for the Diablo movie, it's like I worked like intense for 2 weeks, but it's like I was working like mostly I took holidays and I was working like 12 hours per day. It's like I was releasing stuff, doing like a sort of movie projection and saying, okay, that is the issue, that is the issue. And I was already doing basically I did many iterations on that one. And sometimes I like to do like some short stuff, like a bit sort of internal game jam, I would say. And for example, the Bioshock was just tonight stuff. And I was like, okay, I want this. And after tonight, if I don't finish, well, I will not maybe release it. It's just, but I really want to, it is basically, I know that if I take too much time, and especially if I don't have a team behind, at some point I'm going to put the project on the side and I'm going to jump to another project and I will never finish this project.
Right, right.
It's like
So for the people watching, let's at least look at the Diablo one. Which one was the latest you did? Was did you
it's the
do?
Diablo one.
Was the latest? So let's look at the
Yeah,
Bioshock one first. Let's see if it works on this side. Okay, it seems to be working. It's a bit lagging, but so what's your general workflow when you approach a project like this? Like, what is your mindset? Do you look for references? If so, how do you look for references, and how do you approach this from start to finish? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, in first place, already I'm looking for my subject. So what I want to do exactly. In general, I know like in that case, I wanted to do something about Bioshock. At the start, I was thinking, oh, maybe I could do something like outside, outdoor. And at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, I need to find, because in that case, it's a real lighting. So the environment was already built. I did a few tweaks and stuff for shaders, improving stuff, but it's like the main structure is still the same. And basically, I was like, okay, that one at the time was the best thing I found on the Epic Store, which was convenient to do like a Bioshock theme. And so I started to take a look for references. So basically, I start with this colors grading, starting from there. And so after my workflow, basically, it's like I really delete everything. It's like, and then I did a GIF at the time,
Yeah,
maybe I can
so I
see.
think you can share your screen and keep it open for now, because I'll be we
Yeah,
will be multitasking right now between our conversation, the breakdown of your piece, but also I'll be taking some question in between now as well. And just a quick hello to Fateh for being back watching the live. Thank you for the comments, Salim. I'm sure he's appreciating that you think it's awesome lighting.
thanks.
Um, while you prepare, let's see, we have a question about Unreal 5. Thank you for asking the question, Somya. I'll let him address the question in a minute. So Somya is asking. Obviously, I already asked it indirectly because I saw the question. He is using Unreal Engine 5. So she's wondering, are there any disadvantages on Unreal Engine 5 or known bugs so far that hasn't been fixed by Epic? Have you experienced any troublesome experience, technical problems so far when you're using Unreal Engine 5?
Well, so I am using Unreal 5 for games. So yes, we start I mean, I can talk about it, but yes. And for bugs, I mean, in general, when we have bugs, it's like if it's a professional project, you have a team of programmers, so they're going to deal with it. It's like we are not waiting, obviously, for epics, apart if it's a too deep stuff, which is like really core engine. And in that case, even sometimes we're going to fix it and push it to Epic so they integrate the solutions. But in general, like taking Sackboy 4v4, basically we did a lot of fixes for different stuff because we used some specific GPU render for a specific GPU like mass render, and basically we had to do a lot of fixes and stuff and change the engine deeply for the lighting.
So in UE5, this is an interesting discussion. Will continue as well later as well. Is Lumen real-time indoor lighting expensive to use according to you, or is it something everyone will use? What are your thoughts so far on that?
Well, it's a sort of software retracing, so it's expensive, but at the same time, with Nanit, what you are losing in performance, you are winning on this side for rendering geometries and stuff. So basically, it's a balance, and it's way better to use Lumens currently than hardware retracing, where it's still something heavy. You cannot render the full picture with it. So basically, it's like if your project starts with using both, and basically it depends what is your target. So if you just need to manage the performance, and obviously maybe you will have some limitations, but currently and with the next I mean, they're still improving it, so it's like I think it's going to be something you can release proper games full of Lumens features like the reflections one and the lighting. So
Okay.
no, but and really it's like from my point of view, it's like really a good improvement. It's like you can really feel some stuff like a G high. Really, you can feel like bounce on the rock and stuff. So it's
Okay.
I think yeah, in terms
Cool.
of lighting, next games are really going to be cool.
All right. Fateh, I will. I think he works from home, so if you want to rephrase your question, we will ask it. But I don't think he works from the office at the moment. So if you want to rephrase that question, that's great. Here's another question: where do you get your lighting motivation from? So how do you make sure that you do some kind of lighting practice or lighting improvement or lighting in general? So where's your
So
motivation?
So it depends. Professionally, it's like to know that you have a big team behind you, and because lighting and VFX are the last steps, it's like you get this motivation of okay, they did a really good work, and you want to improve all of this and make their work shine, and just like having it's like it's really a big teamwork, and so it's a very important step in lighting to make it everything looking good because you can also destroy it. So it's like you feel the pressure, but also you're really happy when everyone is happy about the final pictures. So it's really something which is motivating me a lot.
Cool.
And from it's why also, as I said before, for personal projects, sometimes I really like to put really a strict deadline because I know that I'm going to lose motivation if I don't have people behind it. And in the case of my Diablo movie, I got a friend who helped with the audio to find also a voiceover and stuff. And basically, it was like still a teamwork. So he pushed me to really doing something most as possible polished.
Okay. Do you want to show the video and do a breakdown quickly before I continue with more questions from the viewers?
Yeah, so basically, when you ask for my workflow, in general, I start with really the black scene. So I'm starting just by setting the sun. So the directional light in that case is like to say, okay, that is my key light. And then after that, I'm putting like, okay, I'm going to have my skylight to set. I don't want something more darker than this. That is going to be my base mode. And then after I'm starting to put the fixtures and basically the light coming from the fixtures. Then after it's evolving with other bonds that I don't get it directly, but I would like to have it to underline some assets. And then after I have the light coming directly from the bulbs. And then yeah, after I have the atmospheric fog, and after the fog lights off from the fixtures, and then after I'm adding all the aesthetic of in that case it was underwater, so adding caustic was adding more like the compression, it was underwater. So basically it's pretty like I would say normal workflow. It's like you start with the big things and you're getting in details with the time.
So did you model anything yourself,
No,
or
apart some props, like I have a small Big Daddy inside the scene. The
small Big Daddy? It's a Big Daddy, but it's small.
Yeah, it's a small one. I wanted to do it in big, but I will have had to do some shading work.
So we'll call it Small Daddy.
Small Daddy. But yeah, now basically what I did is like I tweaked mostly all the materials because I really didn't like. Basically, the scene was looking good by default, but at the same time the shaders were sort of flat. It was over bright, and I had to tweak all the values and redone some maps and roughness to make it looking a bit more like details, I would say. So
And so you have. How do you decide your composition and placement as well as cinematic shots?
Uh, so I start by putting cameras first before any movement. So basically, I just find generally I'm using basic rules for photography, like the third rule, or just like I'm trying to find some just cool angles. Sometime I'm taking a look to some reference from cinematography, but most of the time it's just by feeling, I would say. It's like I'm trying to focus vignettes around and just say, okay, I want to, that is my main interest. And so basically I'm putting that. Then in general, I'm trying to keep simple for camera movement because in general, it's like a really tricky work. So in general, I'm just going to do some pan and zoom, just a simple camera traveling in the scene.
So, so if we were to ask you Edwin's question, thanks for watching, Edwin. By the way, just wondering, how do you approach a new project in regards to blocking out lights and finding the mood of the scene? So, in this kind of example, or even the Diablo fan version as well, what's your approach when you make this decision? Is it do you play the game, or is it because you enjoy the game? And if so, do you try and copy the mood, or do you try and do some tweaks that's your own for your own pieces? What's your approach to this?
So basically, I'm starting from the reference. It's like generally it's just for color picking, really. It's like it's really where I'm trying to copy like a specific lighting setup. It's like it would be too no brain. Even if you can have a really nice look, it's like if I want to do really like a pure copy of a scene, I will do it. Like I want to, for example, take a photo reference and I say, okay, I want to do a realistic version of it. And in that case, yes, I will do it. But in that case, it's more like a creative approach. It's like I don't put boundaries. So it's like I'm basically putting the light and trying to see what is the best in that case. And so for this scene, for the Bioshock scene, it was, I mean, I was sort of limited because the windows were in some directions. So basically, I was able to play with the length, and basically, I didn't want, in that case, to cut all the scene by this key light. So it's like I tried to do the thing which will be the most normal, especially you are not going to have like a apart if you have a submarine, you shouldn't be able to have like a big light pushing everywhere. But
Right. Because it's underwater, right?
yeah, and plus it would be, I don't know. I tried it, but it's weird because even in term if I think in terms of game design, it would be bad to have really like something cutting all the scene and the path. So and even in terms of storytelling, I think it's more interesting to have something like this than just cutting.
So that's interesting that you said that. Is you mentioned game design thought. So when you do this piece or other pieces, do you often keep that in mind in terms of leading the player? Is that your intention as well when you do the lighting, or is it more of a cinematic lighting, or both in your case? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it obviously depends the games. I mean, for personal projects, I lead more of that like cinematic stuff. So basically, it's going to be more the light leading the path and what you want to see in first, the interesting point of interest. But at the same time, for a game like, I don't know, like Sackboy or Call of Duty, you need to see the exit stuff. It's more game designness. It's why here, for example, I still have light because you still need to see the door somehow. But from a cinematic point of view, it's not obviously necessary. You could have it more in the dark, but it's like since it's still a game, and still I want that to be represent like it's not a movie. It's like what could be. It's running in real time. You can be inside and move inside it. So it's like it's a game. So it still need to be like a game, even if it's like a cinematic inside it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's clear, but basically it's like I still try to have some constraint, but it's not leading everything. It's like in a game, maybe a game designer would like to focus mainly on the doors because it's the main path or whatever, and it will lead my lighting based on this.
So when you did this, for example, this piece, you lit it on the basis that it might have been a playable level in a game, and you didn't use any extra fake lighting in terms of exaggerated rim lights on the sofa or the screen. You kind of stuck to the fact that it's a room, and these are the places that make sense to have a fill light, a bounce light, and so on. Basically, you didn't go one step further, and you didn't add like a fake rim light to the portrait on the wall, for example. You kind of kept it to a simple readable level, basically.
Yeah, basically it's like I mean most of the time I like to add basically I have a basic for example here point light setups for the neons and all the fog around. But most of the time I'm going to exaggerate and basically have a spotlight to basically reach at some point. I mean, normally anyone from there, you shouldn't have a light here, but I want that still the player to feel that you have something on the top, and it's just and it's the same for other things in general. I mean, in real, I use a lot of static light, and that is also a side effect of the Sackboy project where we had to run uh, at 4K 60 FPS on console, and it was really difficult challenge on Unreal. And so we had to use a lot of static light. It's like 99% of static light. It's like we have just the sunlight, and all the rest is like painting with static lights. And so and it was also so funny because I saw some technical commentary saying, "Oh, there is ray tracing and stuff," and no, it's just very smooth render and very high detail like maps, and just we success to get some really smooth gradients and stuff.
Okay, so your water effect, did you make it or buy it? Because Fateh is wondering how you got that water effect. So cool.
No, I did this acoustic effect. No, it's pretty simple. To be honest, it's like it's the same textures, basically spanning in different directions. And after you get some panels and some mask inside it, and at the end, it's pretty easy things. To be honest, it's like I think I have. Let me check. I think on 80 levels there is I send a screenshot or something from the material. Um,
So
yeah, basically it's there. It's pretty easy stuff, to be honest. It's just mask.
right. So Fateh, take a screenshot.
Yeah, it's just on the website on 80 level.
Let's have a look at your Diablo fan project as well. I'll show the video for people so they can see that as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
I think it's too heavy for the stream.
Let me just remove this one. Maybe.
It's big.
Well, is it? To, is there a way to remove the other stream? There's two streams. What happens if I kick? I don't want to kick you by accident. Let's see. See, does that work? The other video is still up. What happens? Okay, I don't know what's going on. So there's two streams going on, and it
I
won't
can try
run.
to stream my screen of Rise.
Yeah, try that. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna ban someone on Twitch.
I don't know if I have the sound with it. But,
That's fine. Let's see. You have the screen. There we go. Doesn't have sound, guys, but just watch the lighting in the video, and we'll follow up on a bit. Diablo, Fire and Blood coming out tomorrow. Just kidding. So, let's do one more question because it's kind of connected. Other than creating lighting, what are the technical challenges you have to face day to day as a game lighting artist, and how often do you have to use blueprints and visual scripting in Unreal Engine?
So my main challenge is to run after environment artist breaking models. No, basically it's so technical challenge. I mean, to be honest, it's like, I mean, obviously it's performance, but at the moment you focus on, I mean, you have your budget. It's in general, it's easy to monitor. So at some point, it's like you avoid to do overlaps and stuff, or just depending if you use deferred or render or forward render. So it's like depend the engine, but in general for lighting, it's like It's like less you put light, better is it, basically.
Okay.
It's like, apart if everything is static, in that case, it's like you're just going to take more longer to render your scene, but in general, it's fine. And for blueprints, well, it depends on the project. But in case of Sackboy, for example, we got some events like some switch from static scenes into storms and stuff. So we had to change a lot of stuff like post-process, all the lighting, and all of this was animated by some matinee stuff and sequencers or some timelines. And we were animating everything in blueprints. Small
Cool.
daddy.
Um, so basically, obviously, you're spending some time to do your projects. For example, when I do my project, I'm not spending too much time making the cutscenes or putting in animation or anything. So, what's your average time you spend for a fan project like this Diablo one?
So that one it's probably one of my projects which took the most time. Basically, I took like everything included, not just creative part. It was like 12 days around. So 10, 12 days. I took like maybe 6 days of lighting. But to be honest, the most difficult part was I was looking on really fancy calibrated monitors, SEO one. And the thing is, like, I wanted really to look okay on phone, on RGB, on sRGB, on everything, and to balance in dark scenes, it's horrible. It's like basically, it's like I did more surveys than lighting to my friend and saying it is too dark or not, and just like checking every monitors as possible to find a middle range, and I having my grip point. So at some point I was happy with this and it was working in most of the scenarios. So I moved to that. So basically, yeah,
Okay.
it was basically 12 days, but since it was like mostly 2 days in once, I would say it should be like 1 month normally.
All right.
But
Uh, and what's the difference between the lighting you did for the Bioshock fan project and the Diablo fan project? Like, what did you learn and improve during those two projects?
so I mean the main difference was the other one was just 2 nights and that one was like full days, like 10 full days. So and the main is different challenge. It's like the other one is like really like a quick short project, like a contest. It could be a contest or something. And that one was like really I did many iterations. It's like I have 12 final versions of it, and I changed many shots. It's like the shot was keep changing because I wasn't happy about what I wanted to tell, and basically I had to support the voiceovers. So yeah, it was a different approach really. So yeah, how to say it? It's
And
like
did you spend time? What did you spend a lot of time doing though? Did you spend time building the scenes, or did you use the original layout of the assets, or uh, did you have to learn something new to complete your projects, or what happened?
uh, I mean, to be honest, it's like I just use everything I knew about it. It's like a lot of way to fake. It's like here is not proper VFX. It's just like some transparent cube with a big emissive, but it doesn't work. And even when you're getting close, it's like you just have like quick, a small plane, well, small, a huge plane with a sort of lava, just a planning panning on all the lava magma stuff, and that with the fog cube, it was working well. It's like I will say it's like I took more time to do the final compositings and to change the colors. It's like just for this shot, I got like different grading. Sometimes it was more turning yellow, sometimes it was more red, a bit greenish. So it's like a lot of compositing, I will say, and finding the good gradients and working with the darks values. That was really the main thing for this, was like how to manage like a dark scene, and especially when you work the night, and during the day, between the day and the night, your iris is just changing and you are not sensitive to the same intensity when you take a look at your screen. So sometimes you think, oh, it's really great the night, and you wake up in the morning and say, it's so dark. It's like you cannot see it anything, and just like, and so you fix again your lighting, and that just happened even on professional projects. It's like, that's why sometimes I say you shouldn't work the night, but
And as a lighting artist, according to you, what are the top 3 or 5 skills a lighting artist should have?
first one, which is probably the most important to me, it's accept criticism. Sorry, my French.
No, no.
Yeah, basically it's like you have to basically, most of the time, feedbacks are coming from the art director. But on some project, it can come sometimes from lead doing the transitions, or from some over seniors. And you have at the same time to condense everything as a feedback, but also take some time a decision, most of the time in couple with the art director, because since when you affect something, it's like, even for like making a movie, you have so many voice and so many different approach that you have to take a decision anyway. And most of the time, the art director is going to be the one saying, I want this like this, and is going to be like the guardian of the homogeneity of the project. So yeah, that is my first thing. It's like, you need to deal with critics, because I see a lot of lighting artists, they were like, no, I do my thing, and at the end it's wrong, but because they're not maybe enough open. But that is working for every job, to be honest. It's just that for lighting is really affecting a lot. And I guess the second one is be aware of the technical limitations, because even, for example, at Sumo, we have a lot of environment artists. They do really nice renders. But the thing is, like, making pictures is not just the only thing. It's like, even for movies, it's like, for movies, you have to deal with the render farm. So it's like, you cannot do thousand huge setup stuff. It's like, you have to limit and do efficient way your lighting. So I would say it's like, it's not something you expect all the time from juniors. It's like, you have to do mistake to learn. But yeah, it's like, be conscious of the limitation of the lighting and do something, the best thing you can do with a pretty simple setup when you can do. Sometimes you have to use complex stuff, but depends the type of games. And the third one, I will say, yeah, just iterate. It's like, in general, you don't get the best from the first shot, even if sometimes you can back to the first idea. But it's like, try different things. So it's like, what I like to do is like doing different color grading stuff or different approach in the lighting, and to propose it when I'm basically free to propose something for something specific. And sometimes it happened that we don't have concepts, and basically we have basic instructions from the art director, and we have the art bible, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to try something and propose different things, and we are going to basically iterate until we get what we want. And sometimes we have directly the instruction from the concept, and we know we have to do this. So I would say it's like, it's always nice to propose something, even if you have the instruction of following the concept, you can still do it and propose also something on the side to maybe it's going to convince and adding something more.
So, what would you recommend someone who is getting into the industry, in our case, lighting artist or look development or something, how would you recommend and guide that individual to learn lighting and improve as a lighting artist?
So learning lighting is complex because, to be honest, it's like I never saw lighting really like an entry job. It's like it's a little bit the same for technical art. It depends the teams. Basically, if you join like a junior when you are the only junior in the team, I mean, and you don't have over seniors, it's like in general it's going to be really complex. It's like because you will have to manage all the mistake and learn from it. If it's like I will say small indie companies, I don't know, it really depends, but in general it's not easy. So I mean, to enter first, obviously I will say just focus on a really nice portfolio, and it's better even if it's hard to pick some stuff. Sometimes we want to see to show everything because it's like we took like 3 years as student, but sometimes you did some work like for 1 week, just but you get the experience from what you did before, and it's looking better than your 3 years work. So sometimes it's like it's a thing I see. It's like when some juniors people or graduate are sending portfolio and say, what do you think about it? Yes, in general, I say, yeah, even if you have to show like to work, if it looking great and if it looked professional, if you can imagine that in a game, it's like you can keep it. It's like basically think as player, what would you think if you see this thing? It's like
Okay.
and yeah, and most of the time I'm saying to take a look the other juniors portfolio already working and just compare it yourself. In general, it's like compare yourself a lot with others to get the idea of what are the expectations.
Hmm. And for people who are more or less a lighting artist at the moment, what advice do you have for them in terms of improving as a lighting artist without sitting in front of the computer?
I don't know. To be honest, it's like it's always practicing. Me, I tend to have a different approach of it's not direct critics of others, but it's just I see a lot of people relighting scenes like thousands of times. Like how to say it? It's like basically it's like I'm going, for example, on our station and I see 100 times the same scenes relighted. And I think that even if it looks cool, it's like I'm just thinking if I need to recruit someone and I see always the same work, at sometimes I get lazy of seeing it. So I will say start to pick, for example, do an exercise that no one did before to try to be a to be different. And it's the same effect than students. It's like because we have been to the same school, we did the same exercise, we have all the same portfolio. And sometimes it's better to look set a bit different than others, especially if you want to be really like to get the interest of someone recruiting you. So yeah, it's just maybe to be different, but still providing something clean, professional. And if you don't know what is really professional, take a look the junior portfolio or the other portfolio. Or depending on your level, it's like if you are at senior levels and you want to improve, maybe take a look the others and see what they're doing. It's like it's always like trying to learn from the others and see, okay, the level is there. So maybe I should push more in this domain. Or oh, maybe some people try to do some retracing stuff. Maybe I should take a look, or even just take a look, follow conventions for SciGraph, or just like do some technical observations or see in forums if there is no new techniques or color grading stuff, and just be curious basically.
Cool. And if you could go back in time and tell yourself something, advice or tips to make your life easier, what would that be?
uh, it will hire more people at Edigaming to not doing yeah, too long days. No, Yeah, to be
The
honest,
last
it's
person.
like, yeah, it's like, yeah, sometimes also you need to accept that you need more people. It's like sometimes you really want to, it's like you shouldn't sacrifice health just to improve. It's like you have to basically share the work with others people, and that is for a lot of domains. Sometimes it's really great to. I mean, it's like you learn a lot from it, but at the same time you are so tired that it's like maybe it was not productive.
Uh,
And
I asked this question to someone else some time ago, and they said, "Well, I would tell myself not to join the game industry." Is what he said.
no, I think no. I mean, I think we are very lucky comparing to movie industry. It's like they suffer a lot from. Uh, postpone movies and stuff, and some people lost their jobs. And to be honest, I never saw so many people from lighting industry in movies moving to games. It's
Mm.
like I saw many people really moving from movies to games. So it's like it's also interesting, but it's like it's different challenge for them because most of the time they didn't have to deal with performance. So it's
So, do you want to share your screen and show your art station so people can write your name and follow you?
yeah. That, let me find. Where's my link?
So that's his name. Write his name right now, everyone. Go into art station and remember to follow him. I actually play Hood a lot. Uh, the game actually. I have it installed right now, and that's normally what I play when I need to play something. Funny enough. So we are at the end of our hour, which went pretty quickly. I realize we are 1 minute over, but we lose touch of time sometimes when we are in such interesting topics. Before we end the stream, I would just like to remind everyone that Lightingbot community is available for everyone to join over at lightingbot.com. You can join there. There are written articles and interviews as well. There's mentorship and other content as well. So that's Lightingbot. We also do portfolio review. So if you have your own work and you want someone to review it, we have 3 people in our team that can review it and critique it. You can find an example on our YouTube channel if you haven't already watched it. We also have a community show reel and highlights. So if you have something you want us to promote, if it is good enough, the judges will judge it. They'll give you some feedback, and we will highlight it. We also do Unreal tutorials right now. It's just still pretty new, so we're doing that. Sorab is doing that because Sorab is doing Unreal tutorials. I'm covering Unity tutorials. And you can learn more stuff in this channel besides these interviews. And obviously, I would like to thank Quentin for attending the interview and participating. And I hope everyone can leave a positive comment and a like to support Quentin. So if we get a couple of them, who knows, maybe we'll invite him back when he is done with the next project, and maybe we can get some insider knowledge when that time comes. So I would like to say thank you for everyone, and I will end the broadcast together with Quentin. I will talk a little bit with Quentin afterwards in private as well to get his feedback about today's session. So thank you everyone, and
Thank you.
goodbye, and have a good weekend.